Coming up on Mountain News this morning, we have the latest on the coal preparation plant collapse from Martin County. Plus, the Kentucky Department of Education released the state's annual test scores, and some of the schools come from the Appalachian region.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News this morning.
Good morning, I'm Olivia Calfee. The time is 6:31 on November 2nd. Now let's check in with Chief Forecaster Brandon Robinson for a look at your forecast this morning. And Brandon, it is certainly extremely cold out there. I can't even really say it's chilly, it's cold.
Yeah, it is cold out there this morning, Olivia. So I think you're going back over to Martin County here in a little bit. Make sure you're bundled up. Make sure that everybody out across the region is getting those cars warmed up and defrosted, because if they're outside, even if they're not, if they're in a garage or something, it's going to be cold out there this morning. Downtown Hazard, 23. Again, some frost on the grass, it looks like this morning. Kind of hard to see, but I can tell you that it's going to be a frosty start. Temperatures in the teens in Clintwood this morning. Everybody else basically in the 20s, with the exception of 30 there at Jackson, 22 now, and Irvin, 21 in Jonesville, 23 in Hazard. As we mentioned, Middlesboro and Jacksboro, 22 in Manchester, and 22 also in Grundy. I don't know how they're hanging on to that 30 up there at Jackson. Look like they should be at least in the 20s at this point. So as we look ahead today, high pressure equals more sunshine. We're warming up for the weekend, but our next weather system is on the way as we head into early next week. Olivia?
All right, thank you, Brandon. One man is dead and another still unaccounted for as first responders sift through the destruction of a coal plant collapse in Martin County. WYMT's Buddy Forbes has been there overnight and has more as night 2 of the search turns into another day without answers.
It has been a relatively quiet night here on this side of the bridge, but based on the traffic I've seen flowing in and out, there has likely been little rest for the rescuers overnight. The cool temperatures on top of the massive destruction is not a great combination for first responders who are working on this mission. But crews have been going in and out of the collapse site all night, so the weather has not deterred the efforts. The next news conference is not expected until 10 a.m., so there are no official updates from the scene. Those involved say there will be a thorough investigation into the collapse, but the most important factor early on is trying to find the second trapped worker who, as of last update, has never made contact with first responders.
We're in under that structure, and we're just trying to search all the voids with cameras, listening devices, just trying to see if we can get any idea of where that individual might be.
Workers have been set up at a nearby church to rest up and recharge as they continue to tackle an almost indescribable mess of debris and rubbish. As of the last update, the man who died has not been removed from the structure, and there has still been no contact with the other man. In Martin County, Buddy Forbes, WYMT Mountain News.
All right, thank you, Buddy. And as he said, a news conference is expected near the collapse site in just a few hours at 10 a.m. I will be there throughout the day sharing more updates as we get them. The victim in the October 17th Mount Vernon shooting on I-75 is sharing her story. Erica Ponder was driving down the interstate when she says she was shot. She didn't know she was shot at first until she looked down and noticed the wound. She talked with us yesterday about what she remembers.
So just riding on the highway, listening to music, and I just heard a boom. So I thought I hit something. Really hard to answer because I don't know, especially not being from Kentucky, and then it just happens out of nowhere.
Ponder says she doesn't know why she was shot. Police are still investigating. If you have any information that can help the investigation, contact the Rockcastle County Sheriff's Department. Also in Rockcastle County, a golden alert was issued for a missing man. 59-year-old William Ayers of Broadhead was last seen yesterday morning near his home on Jones Lane Extender. He reportedly has a developmental disability. If you have any information, call the Rockcastle County Sheriff's Office at 606-256-2121. Every Halloween, law enforcement warns parents to check their children's candy after trick-or-treating. That advice came in handy earlier this week in Bath County. A family says they found several pills in their children's candy, which turned out to be muscle relaxers. They called police, who say this is the only incident they've had reported to them. But police tell us this situation could have been even more dangerous than it already was.
When it comes to like medication, you don't know if it's laced with, fentanyl, or it could have something else bad in it.
The family who discovered the medication did not want to talk on camera, but do want other parents to be aware. The Kentucky Department of Education uses test scores from all of the schools in the Commonwealth to rate them 1 to 5. A total of 20 schools in eastern and southern Kentucky made it in the top 10 best and worst for elementary, middle, and high schools across the state. WYMT's Madison Carmouche has more from a couple of top 10 schools in the region.
Kaywood Elementary and Burning Springs Elementary are just 2 of the 14 Eastern Kentucky schools that made top 10 list after KDE's school report card data.
Now, when I looked at that list myself, I noticed the same thing. And I said, sometimes being from southeastern Kentucky and even eastern Kentucky, we do get a bad rap. But these are the best students ever.
Both principals agreed that the schooling students missed during COVID-19 was motivation to implement new programs.
With COVID, we knew that a lot of kids missed out on whole grade levels because they were home doing lessons by computer or Zoom or however we could get them in during COVID.
Kaywood Elementary in Harlan County is kindergarten through 8th grade and ranked number 3 in the elementary school top 10 and was number 1 in the middle school top 10.
Last year, we started a new pilot program in the district. Us and another school, Ross Point Elementary, started a Lexia Core 5 and Lexia Power Up. It's a reading and grammar language arts program that starts kids where they are, because we knew the need with COVID was that they were behind, especially our primary students.
Burning Springs Elementary School in Clay County ranked 4th, and their principal says this is not something they accomplished overnight.
So it was time for academics to shine just as well. So we just decided, that's it. We're not going to be at the bottom. We put in some new programs. Like I said, we have great support from our district staff, our superintendent, and these teachers here are just remarkable.
Both schools celebrated their students' hard work and accomplishments with an assembly. Madison Carmouche, WYMT Mountain News.
Both principals say they are looking forward to doing even better this school year for next year's rankings. You can see the top 10 list for elementary, middle, and high schools on our website. The ACLU is now asking the U.S. Supreme Court to overturn a Kentucky ban on gender-affirming care for minors. The U.S. 6th Circuit Court of Appeals recently upheld the Kentucky ban. It was made law by the controversial Senate Bill 150, passed last legislative session. This case also involves a similar ban on essential health care for transgender youth in Tennessee. A similar law was struck down in Arkansas back in June. FEMA has approved nearly $19 million in federal funding for the Kentucky Division of Emergency Management. The funding will be used to remove debris deposited by severe storms, flooding, landslides, and mudslides that occurred last summer. We now know the funeral arrangements for a Letcher County firefighter who died earlier this week. The visitation for Joe Back will be on Friday beginning at 6 p.m. at First Baptist Church in Whitesburg. The funeral is set for Saturday at 1 p.m. also at the church. Back was the Whitesburg Fire Department's assistant chief. He was 59 years old. The University of Kentucky and the University of Louisville are keeping their rivalry alive in the Rival for Life Challenge. They are going head-to-head to see which school's fan base can register the most new organ donors this month. The annual challenge is now in its 22nd year. UK says last year U of L won, which means the competition is even more intense. More than 100,000 Americans are awaiting a life-saving transplant, many of whom are in Kentucky.
Over 1,000 of them in Kentucky currently. It is so important. So not only can you help your fellow Kentuckians, but we can beat Louisville.
The winner of this year's challenge will be given a trophy at the Battle of Bluegrass men's basketball game on December 21st.
And if I heard that number she was talking about right, I'm one of those more than 1,000 organ owners across the state of Kentucky, and glad to do that. All right, time this morning, 6:41. It's a cold start to the day. 24 degrees along Corbin's I-75 or Corbin's stretch of I-75. It's basically at the London Corbin Airport, but again, temperatures slowly creeping toward that record. 23, the record there. Still 30 at Jackson. Back into the teens in Jonesville and Clintwood, hanging on the 19 there, and then down to 22 in Irvin, Manchester, and Middlesboro, also Grundy this morning. So in the 20s with some frost. Warm those cars up, scrape them off if you need to, bundle up, make sure you're staying warm. But later today, sun's going to come out, temperature's going to go up. We're going to be in the mid-50s by later this afternoon. Olivia?
Thanks, Brandon, and thank you for joining us. The time is now 6:42, still to come on Mountain News this morning. Yesterday, some members of the House of Representatives tried to expel one of their own, but they failed to reach the vote.
Stop.